Yo, what's good, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, I've got 13 tips for you that I guarantee you they will immediately help you start winning more games. They will make you better at the game. I have chapters, and as always, I will have a pinned comment with timestamps on it. So if you want to skip around, you can go ahead, because I will I will mention a couple things here first. First thing is, if you have watched one of my videos before, and if you haven't, I've mentioned this multiple times. I'm not the best player. I'm not claiming to be the best player. I think I figured out the game. This is my first year playing this game every day for the whole year. Last time I was playing MLB The Show was MLB The Show 20. And I was a very mediocre player. I don't really remember a lot. I was probably sitting around the 600s. That's what I, somewhat remember. But this year, this is like my first time ever playing this game. I'm a 900 rated player, so I'm very close to getting to 1,000 rated. And so I think I know what I'm doing. I don't know if this is like a new approach, but I feel like I figured out the game in 2 months, where some people they've been playing for years, and this is the first time they've hit World Series, and it's because they lowered the rating down to 800. Obviously, it looks more achievable. So you're like, I have to push, and then you convince your mind that you can actually do it, and you do it. So yeah, I'm not the great. I wouldn't say I'm great mechanically. I hit around like 240 on Legend, so I'm not a good player by any means. And if I can do it, you can do it. And lastly, I hope that you guys watch my previous video. I know it's been a week since I've posted anything, but there hasn't been really a lot of content. I'm gonna update our tier list for our position players. I'll probably do that on the weekend. But my last video, the new Threads program, I told you guys to invest, or if not invest, at least buy all the new Threads cards from the Santander collection. They've just announced that tomorrow we're getting a new Threads 2.0. I don't know if this means it's just the program is called 2.0, or they're actually going to give us a new collection, or they're just going to add another tier to the Santander one. I'm really hoping for that one. Cards have already doubled in price. Bellinger you can buy that card for like 10K when I made that video a week ago. He's like 20K now, and if you put on a sale order, you can get 20K for him now. So that's 8,000 per card. I only bought one of each, so I'm probably just waiting till tomorrow. I'll just wait it out for tomorrow, see if I can get to 30K. Because if they don't go up, I don't see how they tank their price. I don't think they'll ever go below 10,000 stubs. I think that's the price for the rest of the year. So anyways, if you're new around here and you enjoy the content, leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and let's just jump right in. My number one tip is play on a good server. Like I said, this is my first year like actually playing the game, taking it serious. And I've heard that people are complaining about the servers, that they're the worst they've ever been. And if you don't know, this game does not have its own dedicated servers. We play on peer-to-peer connection. So obviously you're going to experience some delay to an extent, but I'm sure you've been in a lobby where it's just so the input lag is crazy. 98 miles per hour feel like 105. So how can you choose, how can you select on what server you play on? Well, that's very simple. You cannot actually select which server you want to play on, but there's this little neat trick. I'm sure you probably heard about this if you've been playing this game for a couple of years. But once you're on the menu where you're selecting your pitcher, just move your cursor up and down and see how laggy and how delayed it feels, the cursor moving up and down. If it's very delayed, probably just back out. You don't have to play. You don't have to jump into every game that the game cues you into. That's why probably a lot of the times people are backing out of your games for no apparent reason. That's probably why. And a little tip here, it's the home team. The home team gets to host the connection, so not only they get the unfair advantage. I do think being the home team is an extremely unfair advantage in this game. Not only because your players turn into Barry Bonds, the opponent, the away pitcher, it turns into playoff Kershaw. So yeah, being the home team is always best. You're playing on a smoother connection on your stadium of preference. And yeah, speaking of stadiums, number 2, don't use MLB stadiums. Again, if you're active around the community, you've probably heard this. Some people mention some fuss about this. MLB stadiums make your game laggier. We're basically playing a PlayStation 3 game. But on an MLB stadium, you have to load out so many gimmicks, so many props, the crowd, animated crowd. Why does it have to be animated? It's just so much for the game to load up, to run. It's we're already playing on the bad connection, so I highly advise against using MLB stadiums. I get that if you're a big Giants fan, you love Oracle Park, you've been there, you maybe have some fond memories with your granddad, with your dad. I get it. I mean, if you're using it because of that, then I mean, I guess it's cool. But if you're watching this video, I assume you want to start winning, so I probably just shy away from that until you master the other tips that I'm going to give you. Then you can start maybe having a little bit more fun. And for the people that they play on MLB stadiums because they think that minor league parks are small and it's very easy to give up fluky home runs, which I agree, it can be annoying sometimes. The stadiums that you're seeing on your screen right now, they're like zero elevation. They're extremely annoying. They have some weird dimensions and it's very annoying. Ball rarely flies in those stadiums, so do yourself a favor. If you're playing on an MLB stadium because they're big and it's very hard to hit a home run, try one of these. It's going to run the game a whole lot smoother and you won't be as susceptible to give up fluky home runs. Another nice little tidbit here, don't go crazy with your logos. Again, this is only a cosmetic thing, but again, going crazy with your logos on your uniform is going to just we can't have shit on this game, man. But going crazy with your logo is going to make the game even delayed, so it's going to lag your game out. So if you don't like any of the uniforms that we can buy, you can just use a plain, boring, one color t-shirt if you want to win. I mean, again, you can just suck it up if you want to. Let's go on to number 3. This is where actually we're starting to talk about gameplay. Number 3 is take pitches, but with a purpose. I see a lot of people just take pitches for the sake of taking pitches, and most of the time these people on the first inning, you're like, oh my god, this guy is so annoying. He has such a good eye. He doesn't swing at inside sliders, he doesn't chase sinkers, he doesn't chase anything. He has a great eye. Wrong. I see this especially once you're in the 700s, you know, that 7 to 800 range. A lot of these players, they're not very familiar with Hall of Fame, so they don't really feel comfortable on the mound. So they try to fool you into believing that they have a great eye, when in reality they don't swing the bat because they suck and they don't feel comfortable in the box. They want you to walk them. A walk is better than trying to hit the ball. If you're one of these players, just swing the bat, man. Like, you're never going to get better at hitting if you don't try. Obviously, I'm not saying this is a stupid approach. It's very smart. It's very annoying, but once your opponent figures it out, I'm gonna put you can see the strike zone on your screen here. Players that usually take this approach into rank, where they just take everything, hoping for walks. They have a very hard time hitting. I already mentioned that. And they can only hit 2 pitches. Be either something that you hang middle. They don't have to move their PCI. They don't have to do anything, and they're great. They have great timing, be it a off-speed fastball, they're always on time. They're masters of their craft. Or a pitch on a slam spot. You throw something on the up and away corner, they slam their PCI. It's a perfect upper field home run. What they don't realize is by playing this way, you get exposed to this area right here that I'm highlighting on the strike zone. This is what I like to call the void. Whenever you play a player like this, and I'm not saying everybody that takes pitches is these type of player or plays like this has the same problem, but this void right here, the majority of the players have a very, very hard time to get into pitches in that area of the strike zone. Why? Because it's very hard to move your PCI. I really hate that we don't have like sensitivity for the PCI. I think it's super stupid. And if you're not using a P ring, a precision ring, it's extremely hard to master the PCI. You're either going to be slamming it or just don't moving it most of the time if you don't use precision rings. So if you're pitching on this area, you're either going to get a lot of flyouts, or they're going to be swinger over the top and you're going to get a lot of ground balls. So take pitches, but don't be this guy. Like, actually try to swing the bat every now and then. Obviously, some players take pitches and they still crush everything. So I'm not saying, but what I mean by taking pitches with a purpose is whenever you start facing these guys and you pitch into the void and now they're falling behind in counts, they start swinging at everything. They start chasing those sliders that they weren't chasing at the beginning of the game, and you can feel that they were just taking pitches. They already made up their mind they were not going to swing, so they're not that good. Don't do that. I don't think it's a very good approach. Obviously this is like stuff that's a little bit more advanced. I think if you're an all-star, you should be swinging. I don't think you should be taking pitches, because hitting in this game is hard. I'm not gonna say it's not. It's very hard. So you have to practice, and the only way to practice is swinging the bat. And obviously taking pitches puts you in favorable counts. So obviously take pitches, but swing the bat on 3-1 counts, on 2-1 counts. I highly recommend that. But let's move on. I hope I didn't offend anybody there. Number 4 is play mind games on the mound. We're at a point of the year where everyone is running with a goon squad. 1 through 9, they have a 99 overall player with 100 power against both sides the majority of the time. So it's incredibly hard to get outs. Outs are at a premium. Pitchers are very far behind of the hitters right now. There's only like maybe three pitchers that can actually shut down a lineup. Obviously, against a average player, if you're facing a goon, you're going to get shelled. Does not matter what pitcher you use. So playing the mind games on the mound it becomes more important as the year goes on. What I mean by mind games is hold the ball, change your. Just pretend you have a runner with 99 speed on the mound. They're about to steal. Change your timings. But don't hold the ball 14 seconds every pitch. If you're doing that, you're pulling every trick out of your ass. I think you're lame, and you're doing way too much for a win. Just get good and learn how to hit. Honestly, if you're just stalemating your opponent because you're being annoying on the mound, that doesn't make you a good player. But please incorporate, vary your timing on the mound. Obviously, you can incorporate things, as simple as tapping off the mound. You throw a fastball, then the next time you throw a step off the mound, your opponent may be thinking, oh, is he going to go back to the fastball? Is this a tendency? Does he throw a fastball every time he steps off the mound? Or you can change it up and go with an off speed. So you can start incorporating these little mind games. They're always great. Obviously, there's a 50-50 chance you get burned, but just trust your gut in those instances. Number 5, adjustments are great, but don't over adjust. What I mean by this is, how many times have you adjusted to your opponent and they never adjusted back, but then you still continue to make adjustments? Take this game as a turn-based game. If you make an adjustment and your opponent has not made his move, you don't have to move again. Okay, if it ain't broken, don't fix it. I still make this mistake every day, so I'm not saying I'm perfect and you should just listen to everything I say. But how many times have you been playing against someone that's stubborn and his bat is extremely fast? He's sitting fastball. He's clearly hitting sitting fastball. He's early on every off speed. You're just spamming the off speed, and then you throw him a fastball and he crushes it. You damn well knowing he was going to crash that fastball, but you threw it anyways. Like, why are we making adjustments? If your opponent does not want to slow his bat down, then that's on him. You don't have to throw that fastball. I know if you play baseball, you're kind of wired into once you get to 2 strikes, you start throwing off speed. If you're you need to vary your pitches. This is not real life. Some players cannot hit off speed. Well, they refuse to hit off speed. They're only sitting fastball because it's easier to square up a fastball. And some players cannot touch a fastball. So, which takes us to our number 6 tip. Don't do any favors. If your opponent cannot touch a fastball, don't throw him off speed like ever until he makes a couple of good quality swings. You're going to be spamming that fastball. Especially this mistake again. This still haunts me to this day. I got him in a 1-2 count and even in an 0-2 count, and I find myself throwing off speed, trying to paint him with a strike. And what happens? I obviously hang it, and he perfects it for a home run. Why? Because he cannot touch a fastball. So don't do your opponent any favors. Just like the exact same scenario, just reversed that I just talked about. And speaking of spamming pitches, number 7, don't be afraid to spam pitches. If your opponent cannot touch a fastball, a sinker inside, just keep throwing it. It might be boring. You may be saying, oh, well, this is so lame. You're just spamming the same thing. If you want to win, you're watching this video, I assuming you want to start winning more, you're going to have to play like this. That's just how it is. If your opponent cannot touch a pitch, you're just going to keep throwing it. Sometimes people cannot touch. Even you could throw 20 straight times, same pitch, same location, and they're going to be late. They're going to be early. They cannot figure out the timing to save their lives. That's an easy win, in my opinion. So you just spam the pitch, obviously, and this is another mistake I still make too. I still make it, but I feel like a lot of players do it more. Let's say you were spamming that sinker inside, your opponent finally turns on it, he hits a perfect home run. And why are we stopping? Why would you go away from something that was giving you 90% success just because? I mean, you never know, that swing might have been lucky. And what happens next is, well, next time you're on an 0-2 count, you're on a 0-2 count, 2-strike count, you're like, okay, so last time he was ready. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. And I'm not saying completely underestimate your opponent, but if he has not been able to do it consistently, why are we doing him any favors? What do you do next? You throw a changeup, you throw a slider, and he crushes it perfect. Why? Because he would have been late to the sinker. Sinkers are incredibly overpowered in this game. You're going to be getting a lot of free wins against bad players. That's just how it is. If you just spam that sinker, if you think it's boring and lame, then don't do it. But again, you're watching this video, you want to win, that's how you do it. You just find a weakness, find a pressure point. You just spam that until your opponent makes an adjustment and actually shows you that he can do it consistently. I won't stop spamming a pitch until my opponent makes 3-4 swings in a row, good swings. If he's still getting jammed and he hits a couple of loopy and he hits a couple of bloop singles, then fine. I'm going to keep throwing that until he makes an adjustment. So we step off that a little bit. Number 8, accept friendly quits if you're the away team or the connection wasn't as good as you thought it was. If you're the home team, I don't see why you're given that advantage for free. Obviously, if you know you're going to be playing all day, then of course I'll accept a friendly quit, then. But let's say I know I only have 2 hours. Maybe I will only be able to play 1 game today. I queue up to my first game. I'm the home team. My opponent sends me a friendly quit. Why in the world would I risk being the away team for the only game that I have to play today? I know it's kind of like a consensus agreement of the community to accept friendly quit just because you have to accept them. You don't have to accept them every time. So don't let Reddit fool you into believing you're toxic because you're declining friendly quits. If you're the home team and you only get to play a finite number of games in this day, you only have a certain amount of time to play. Don't give up away. Don't just give up. Don't risk being the away team on a ranked game. Number 9, bullpen diversity. What I mean by this is you don't want to have your opponent with just the same architect, the same pitcher archetype. An example would be on your screen, you have Munoz, you have Ben Joyce, you have Bobby Suarez, and you have Clase. The only pitcher that really stands out as being different is Clase. And Bobby Suarez, to an extent, he still throws an outlier sinker with an outlier fastball. Yes, he has a cutter, which Munoz and Joyce don't, but he's still pretty much the same pitcher. Also, another little tip here is, let's say you're pitching Clemens, you're pitching outlier fastball with a splitter. You're throwing hard and it's a righty. I highly don't recommend going to someone like Lee Smith, who's basically the same pitcher. Granted, he has a cutter The only times that I would go to someone like Lee Smith after Clemens is if you've been paying attention to this video, your opponent has refused to make an adjustment to the fastball, so you're just going to keep spamming that outlier. That would be a good move. If you're facing someone that's good, go to someone like Danny Colum. Go to someone like Josh Hader, who's very different. He's left-handed. And obviously right now with everybody running switch hitters, like at least 5, 6, 7 switch hitters on everybody's lineup. Lefty, righty, that don't really matter. I'm still running 4 righties, 4 lefties in my bullpen. There was a point where I was running 5 lefties because it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. Nobody's batting same-handed disadvantage this year. So speaking of bullpen, number 10, don't burn bullpen arms on a blowout. Seriously, I cannot stress this enough. How many times have I been up 7 on my opponent and he goes to the bullpen and he goes to his bullpen and he goes to his bullpen? He burns 4 arms just to try to keep within not even grand slam distance sometimes, and I think it's crazy. You're just lowering your chances for your next game. You're burning your bullpen for a hopes of a comeback. Well, it's cool, if you get the comeback, you're going to feel great about yourself, but it's not very probable. I think it's better if you just quit or leave the no energy guy out there. If he gets shelled, he gets shelled. If you're someone that's worried about ERA and player stats, I think you're worried. You are definitely worrying about the wrong stats, my friend. I think the only stat that you should be worrying about is wins and losses. But if you want to take care of your pitcher's ERA, which I honestly don't think why it should matter, because you know the context behind it. If you have a perfect, you have a 1.5 ERA with Aroldis Chapman, you put him in the game where you're down one. If you care about his stats, I don't know why you put him in, but anyways, let's say he gets shelled, he gives up 4 runs. Now his ERA skyrockets to 5. You know the context behind it. Who cares if on your screen it shows 5 ERA? You know he gave up 4 runs on a meaningless game that you were already losing and you were going to lose anyways. That's my opinion. And same goes if you're winning by a lot. If your opponent gets closer, gets 2-3 meaningless runs, you're still up by 4. Who cares if you put a dent on your pitcher's ERA, man? Like, you have to be thinking ahead. You never want to go into a match unranked with a taxed bullpen. That's never good. It's going to cost you a game. So I highly recommend that you just stick with your guy out there, even if he's bleeding. That's just how it goes. Number 11. The only way that you can save him is don't take your foot off the gas. I make this mistake every day, every game that it seems. I'm up by 5 and I'm like, all right, I want this game to end. I'm just swinging at everything. I'm not taking pitches. I'm swinging. First pitch, I make 1, 2, 3 innings in a row. Suddenly I start to lose momentum. My opponent starts to get, starts creeping. He's getting closer and he's getting closer and he's putting pressure. He's putting runners on. He's just getting closer and closer within striking distance. So never take your foot off the gas. Like I said, I make this mistake every day. If I'm up by 5, I'm like, all right, so I win, because obviously if I'm up by more than 5, it's probably because I'm winning 5-0. It's the 6th inning. My opponent hasn't been able to put anything together. So I'm like, okay, this guy sucks. He's not going to be able to score on me. I'll just coast to the 9th. I'll just get the win. And I think this is a mistake. One, because the game will probably end sooner, which is my ultimate goal, just the game to end sooner. If I just mercy that guy, it would end a lot faster if I just went for the kill. If you smell blood, just go for the kill. Try to get the mercy rule, because you never want to be. You never want to leave it up to chance, to RNG, especially if you're the away team. So never take your foot off the gas. This is a mistake I still make to this day, a couple times a day if I'm playing multiple games, to be honest. Number 12, lineup construction. I know it's kind of a consensus again on that community where you use your best guys as your top 5, and the ones that you struggle with, you put them on the bottom. Well, that's kind of the strategy in real life. We have to remember this is not real life baseball. You have to protect your guys. The ones that you suck with, sandwich him in between your 2 best hitters. You're going to feel a lot more comfortable hitting after one of your best hitters, and knowing that behind you is your second best hitter. So try to play with your lineup. Don't just stack everybody, all of your plays that you suck with. Don't just put them 6, 7, 8 or 7, 8, 9. Especially if they're, I cannot stress how many times I see players just be like putting a lefty 6, 7, and 8 because they cannot hit with them. Well, if you do stuff like that, you're going to struggle a lot more. You're not making things easier on yourself, so you gotta be mindful of that. I think the best strategy, it may be vanilla and kind of obvious, but I still don't see it. I don't think a lot of people do this, but just alternate your bats, man. Even if you have switch hitters, try to sandwich in the lefty in between your 2 best switch hitters against lefties, just to protect them. While putting your best hitters at the top of your lineup might be cool. They might win you some games because they're gonna go 3-4-4 your top 4 players. You're gonna hit 3-4 home runs. It's probably enough for you to win. But especially if you're an all-star, you need production from the bottom of your lineup. Well, you're not going to be winning games 4-3 anymore. Again, if you're an all-star and Hall of Fame, on all-star, you're probably going to start seeing a lot of 14, 12 games. On Hall of Fame, a lot of 10 to 8 games. So you really need to think about your lineup construction on your screen. I mean, you've been seeing how my lineup is constructed right now. You can see I'm kind of protecting some guys that I'm not very good with. So I highly recommend that. And finally, the last tip, number 13, play your opponent. I think this is the most important one, and I feel like this is the biggest one because I feel like at least half of the tips that I already gave you can fit into this. It's great always going into a game with the same game plan, because we're creatures of habit. It's always great to go with your opponent with your game plan. Be it taking pitches, being aggressive with certain batters in certain situations, with runners in scoring position, after hitting a home run, however you like to play. But you have to play your opponent. And what I mean by this is, I feel like most of the time by the 3rd inning, you already have an idea of who your opponent is, but more importantly, of who he isn't. And what I mean by this is, if your opponent is a front runner, if he's only going to be able to hit an off speed, if he's going to melt and quit immediately the second he starts seeing some adversity, is he going to start getting toxic? You have to play your opponent. You have to adjust. You have to adapt. And I feel like that's the most important tip that I can give you. Just figure out who your opponent is, but most important, who he isn't. If he struggles with, I don't know, if he refuses to make adjustments on the mound, you have to punish him for it. You have to trust your gut, especially when you're a legend. That once you're on 2 strike counts, unless you're absolutely goated, which if you're goated on legend, I don't see a reason why you'd be watching this video. But on legend, if you're not very good like me, 2 strikes, you're probably guessing. Most of the times you're probably guessing. So you have to trust your gut. If your opponent's been punishing you with the same pitch, he's probably not going to shy away. Why? Because he's good and he knows that you have to show him that you can actually hit that pitch. So trust your gut. I'm always in a situation where I want to I want to mix it up with my pitching sequence. And you're on the back of your mind, you're thinking, man, I know he's going to crush that fastball, but I haven't thrown it in so long. There's no way he's still sitting in that. And you still throw it anyways, knowing damn well he's going to crush it. So, you have to trust your gut. Play your opponent, like I said. Those are my 13 tips. I don't know if it's common sense and I'm just stupid, but I feel like I have a very unorthodox approach to the game, especially since I really don't know shit about baseball. I just love the game. I just like hitting home runs. I think it's a very fun game when it's working properly and you're on a good server. It's nice. Again, I'm not saying I'm the best player, or I'm not saying this to brag, but I figured out the game in a couple months. It takes a lot of people, it takes years. So if you're struggling, I highly recommend you try this out. I mean, you don't even have to change your settings or anything. It's super easy. Just be mindful of these things. And if you made it this far, I'm going to give you another nice little tidbit here. With your lineup, make sure you check your players' quirks and have write your lineup down on a piece of paper 1 through 9, and write down besides their names, write down their quirks. So if he has first pitch hitter, if he crushes, if he has dead red, if he has off speed, if he has breaking ball. So you know what type of pitch you're looking for. I have ADD, so I'm going to forget about that. That's why I write it down on a piece of paper. It's just the small things that are going to get you far. This game, it ultimately comes down. This is me speaking from my personal experience. I think this game comes down 90% of the time. The player that wins a game is the one that makes the least stupid mistakes. So don't do any favors. Don't be doing mistakes, bad decisions. And by mistakes, I don't mean like literally errors. When you're fielding, maybe taking a bad route. Bad decisions are swinging at a pitch on the black when you are in a 2-0 count. Like what are you trying to accomplish with that? Trying to stretch a single into a double for no reason. You never want to give up a free out on this game. Don't make base running mistakes. I know it's a lot easier said than done, but you are, at the end of the day, you're the one that's playing the game, and you have a game sense, a feel of how the game is going. You know when you're starting to lose momentum, when you're gaining momentum. You have to keep that momentum. You just don't want to let it go. Once you get it, try it, do everything in your power. If you have to pause the game, take a breath, relax, take a sip of water, do whatever you have to. Don't lose that momentum. So that's going to be it for me. This video is way too longer now. It's about to be 40 minutes. I thought I was going to make this in 20, but I'm sorry. If you made it this far, I really appreciate you. If you leave a like, if you think I'm stupid, let me know in the comment section down below if I was just japping for no reason for 40 minutes. And if you're new around here and you enjoy the content, maybe you learn something new, you're going to try these things out, let me know in the comment section down below. And subscribe so you do not miss out on any future MLB The Show content. I'm going to release a updated positional tier list on Saturday, so stay tuned for that. And I really hope that you watched my previous video and invested on those new Threads cards. You made a ton of stubs. Until then, I'll catch you later.